Confident, confident, confident. I can be confident, 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 confident. I can be confident at work.
Hello and welcome to the Confident at Work podcast. I'm your host and your confidence coach, Anna Manning. And today I'm encouraging you to stop hiding your weaknesses. So I know that we've all got stuff we're not very good at. I know I've got loads of stuff that I'm not very good at. But when it comes to feeling truly confident at work, I know that you can admit your weaknesses without hiding and without shame. So I know this is a key element of feeling truly, authentically confident. And that's why I want to talk about it, because many of us, myself in the past included, hide any weakness. We do this, don't we? We hide them, whether we're embarrassed or we're afraid of judgment, or we really do think that it's not acceptable for us to have weaknesses. We hide them, we keep them in the dark, we feel shame about them. I know that when you get to the place you want, which I'm guessing because you're listening to this podcast, is feeling truly confident at work, you're going to have a different approach to weaknesses. I know that when you're truly feeling confident at work, you're going to be like, yeah, I'm rubbish at that. I'm working on it. So one of the things that I really struggle with, always have done when I think about it, is diary management. And I literally mean as basic as putting things in on the right day at the right time. I struggle with that. I have to triple check things. I have to try really hard. And this is probably related to I get left from right mixed up. I have a lot of trouble in that area. It's a weak point for me. I've booked flights on wrong days. I've booked trains on wrong days. I book trains the wrong way round. I have always done that. And I'm probably always going to do it. Like I try and check, but I just have to accept that actually that's a weak spot for me and I'm never going to be that great at it. And I used to really be embarrassed and ashamed, so much so that when it would come to light that I'd done something on the wrong day, I felt this instant flare of embarrassment and this instant like shame rising up in me. And that wasn't good for me, but that was how it was. And I didn't tell anyone about it. I just hid it. And something else that I've really struggled with always is proofing, like proofreading things. You know, they used to say to you at the end of exams, go through and like proofread. I would just not do that bit because I was like, it's virtually pointless. I can't do it. And I'm never going to see a mistake that I've made. So I'll just leave it out. Spell check. Oh, thank God for spell check and grammar check. I don't know what I would do without them. But literally, a mistake can be glaringly obvious in something that I've looked at a million times. Can't see it. Probably will never be able to see it. I don't know. So that's something that I really struggle with. And a couple of times I've had people tell me mid-presentation, by the way, you've got an error in these slides, thought you might want to know. They might think that I'm going to be embarrassed by that. I'm actually not. I'm like, yeah, I make errors and things. It's fine. Don't really mind that much. Like I'm going to try and get it right as much as I can, but it's a weakness for me. So don't know what to tell you. Sometimes I'm going to have words back to front in my slides. Another thing is my organization can be quite haphazard. So I can either be really militant, which weirdly I can be, and then other times I'm completely disorganized. Militant at work, completely disorganized at home. The other thing is sometimes I get annoyed when people kind of talk for too long or go around the houses. If people are taking ages in a meeting, patience is not one of my virtues. I struggle. And it's weird because I'm a coach. I'm very patient with my clients. But when I'm in a meeting or I'm trying to get something done and people are prattling around or taking forever or talking too much, I really, really struggle with patience. And I just know that's what I'm like. I used to stare at the clock in meetings when I thought people were talking for too long. I don't do that anymore. I've realized that's just terribly rude. But there you go. Patience in those situations, not my virtue. Definitely one of my weak spots. And I would not have been able to give you that list without a shred of emotion in the past. So like most people, I hid those. I was embarrassed of them. I was kind of ashamed of them. I thought that I shouldn't have those weaknesses. I mean, why I thought I shouldn't have any weaknesses, I have no idea. Maybe I've been criticized for them in the the past, pulled up on them at work. I don't know, probably. But now giving you that list, I have, well, you could hear it in my voice. There is no emotion or shame or fear or hiding attached to those things. I'm like, it is what it is. It doesn't mean I'm not going to try. I will try, but it's a weak point for me. And sometimes I'm going to mess it up. And that is going to be the way it is. So, do you think, well, I should be good at everything? And many, many people will tell me I can be confident or I will be confident when I'm perfect at everything. And I'm like, oof, good luck with that because you ain't ever going to be perfect at everything. There will always be some new thing. There will always be some aspect of your work that you are just weaker at. There will be things which you are stronger at for sure, but there will be stuff that you're weaker at. And while you're believing, I have to hide those, I shouldn't be weaker at those, I shouldn't have these weaknesses, they shouldn't exist, it's going to be hard for you to feel confident. And also, you're going to think, I have to hide. So I have to hide these things. You might feel shame. And when I say shame, I mean something which says, because I struggle with this, I am therefore somehow wrong or bad or less worthy. So let's put that into one of my contexts. That would be me saying, because I can't book trains for the correct day, I am bad, I am unworthy. And that kind of thinking is what creates shame. And it can lead to us criticizing ourselves and doubting more generally. So that criticism might be like, oh my God, Anna, you're such an idiot. Why can't you even do this basic task? What's wrong with you? You should be able to do this. Like a 5-year-old could do this. This is ridiculous. I could hear all of that mental chitter chatter and all of that criticism. And that may lead to me doubting myself. Should I be here? Can I do this? I can't even get this right. Should I be in this job? What are people going to think of me? All of these doubts. So, all of that can happen when we're thinking, I should be good at everything, but I'm not. And I'm not saying that you can't do anything about weak points or weaknesses. Go for your life. Do whatever you like. I have to triple check things on my calendar, and even then I know I get it wrong. But there is a point at which you may just, especially if you want to feel truly confident, accept, yeah, got weaknesses, got stuff I'm rubbish at. That's just the way it is. Without judgment, without shame, without criticism, and without leading to doubting yourself more generally. And you know what I've found? It's very freeing to live this way. So when I can just accept I have very particular weaknesses. I have some things that I really struggle with. It takes the added element of shame or criticism off the top of it. Because think about it. I've already booked the train for the wrong day. I've already messed it up. I'm potentially already paying twice because I struggled to do that. And what would make it worse is someone criticizing me, doubting me, and giving me a really hard time because of that. I'm already having a bad time. I've had to rebook my train and I've had to pay twice. It's bad enough. But what if I can just be like, oh, yeah, okay. Oh, I do that. Try better next time. How much more freeing is it when I can accept who I am, how I am? I also think it makes you more able to see your strengths, but more about that in another episode. These things are two sides of the same coin, I think. But when I'm allowed to have weaknesses, when I'm allowed to be human, flawed, when that's okay. And I like to think about this from the external perspective. So imagine I'm in a relationship with somebody and they say, I embrace you, and you means areas where you're weak or you struggle, as well as areas where you're strong. I really want in a good relationship for somebody to embrace me, the whole of me. I don't want someone cherry picking and being like, well, this and this part of you is great, Anna, but this part, don't like it. It ain't good. That is somebody not seeing me for me. That is somebody cherry picking parts of me. How awful would that feel? I don't want that. I want someone who can see my weak spots and the areas where I fall down and where I stumble and be like, I see you, the whole of you, and I still love you. Isn't that what you want? And why do you want that? It's obvious, isn't it? Because that's you. You are all those wonderful, bright, shining points and all those strengths that you have and everything in between. But you're also the stuff that you crap at and the stuff that you struggle with and the places that you fall down. That's you, the human. And you want somebody to embrace that because that is you. That's them seeing and accepting you. And who doesn't want to be accepted for who they actually are? That's the basis of connection. So let's take this a step further and say, well, if you want that kind of relationship with somebody else for them to see you in your, the fullness of you, good, bad, ugly, then why wouldn't you want that from you? I bang on about this a lot, but the closest and most enduring relationship that you're ever going to have at work and outside of work for that matter is with yourself. So, what if you could be the one to say, I accept you? I see your weaknesses, I see your strengths, and I see you all the places in between, and I accept you. And I think you're great. And I see you trying, and I see you failing, and I appreciate all of it. What if you had that kind of relationship with yourself? Guess what? You'd feel more confident. You'd feel more confident at work if your boss was like, yeah, Anna, she does struggle with that, but we love her. She's got all these good points too. She does struggle with her diary. They didn't make a big deal out of it. They didn't judge you. They didn't criticize you. They accepted it. How much more confident would you feel with that kind of boss? You can be that kind of boss for yourself. Please be that kind of boss for yourself, especially if you want to feel more confident at work. One of the ways that you're going to feel more confident is to accept who and how you are. It doesn't mean that you can't work to change things. It doesn't mean that you can't work to develop or improve things, but you can do it from the basis of acceptance, of reality, of how things are, of how you are, of who you are. That is the good basis to start from, not starting from a basis of judgment, criticism, shaming. That's no way to start. And you know what I've found? Very often in the past, if there's been something that I struggled with, there was a particular thing that I struggled with in my old job when I was a healthcare lawyer. There was a particular aspect of the job that I really struggled with, and I shamed myself for it really badly. I was like, everyone else can do it. I can't do it. Oh my God, maybe I shouldn't be doing this job, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I could do it to the degree that I needed to, but I just never understood it as thoroughly as I should have done. And you know what? Because I was not accepting of that, I hid it from everyone, but also from myself. I didn't want to think about it. I didn't want to look at it. I didn't want to develop that area. It was very painful for me to even think about it when I knew that I would give myself a really hard time and tell myself that I was stupid and I should already be able to do it and I can't. If I'd come from a place of acceptance and said, you know what, that is actually something that I really struggle with. When I say that, I think, well, maybe I could improve. Maybe I could get this textbook. Maybe I could ask for support from someone who I know is really good at it. Maybe I would have been more willing. It definitely feels more open in my body when I think, okay, well, I'm not great at this area, but maybe I could go there from a place of acceptance and from a place of knowing that that was a weakness. But when I was hiding and criticizing and doubting and being in shame because of it, I never actually did anything about it. I just struggled through and hoped that nobody would notice. And maybe that's what you've been doing with your weak points, struggling through, kind of ignoring them, and hoping that nobody would notice. I'm going to suggest that there is another way. And that way for me has been acceptance and admitting. And it's taken the sting out of it, it's taken the charge out of it. And you might think, oh God, well, in my workplace, this is actually not possible. This is not acceptable. Maybe. I don't know your particular scenario. I don't know the particular relationships that you have around you. I can't say definitively what you should do about this, and I never would. But I at least want this to act as a little challenge for you to say, even just within myself, do I have to hide and shame these weaknesses? Or could I just say, okay, well, that is a weak point and it is as it is. How different might that feel? And then if you're in an environment where you're like, well, I think it probably would be okay to share that or to admit it, you might even say next time you're in a conversation, do you know, I've really struggled with that. I always have done. You know what? All someone's going to say is, oh, right. Yeah, I struggle with this or I struggle with that. Maybe the openness and acceptance that you have might breed some openness and acceptance in somebody else. This way of accepting weaknesses is part of a high confidence cycle. I know it because I know it in myself, and I know it because I've seen it in my clients so many times. If you don't know what I'm talking about when I'm mentioning a high confidence cycle, this is the model that we use in Confident at Work. Go into the show notes and click on the link that says take the confidence assessment. That's going to tell you whether or not you're in a high confidence cycle. And if you're in a low confidence cycle, it's going to give you some tips and tools that you can use to change it. Last thing, if you're listening to this in real time, we have the Confident at Work Grow Your Confidence in 2025 free training happening on January the 27th, 2025. Sign up. There's a link in the show notes. You either get the replay into your inbox or come and join us live. It's going to be a great class. It really gives you the foundations that you need to build in order to feel confident at work. So if you love the podcast, come and join us, and I will help you to really figure out how to take this from ideas into actual practice that you can implement at work so that you can feel more confident, more calm, more in control, and hopefully a little bit happier. All right. I will see you in next week's episode. Bye.
Confidence, confidence, confident. I can be confident. Confidence, confidence, confident. I can be confident at work.